Perspective. Perspective. You're supposed to say the lines.
Oh, is it? I gotta say that?
Yes.
Public service announcement. The views and opinions are the opinions.
Fuck that bullshit. They are my opinions and my guests, no one else's. Remember, this show ain't for chitlins' ears, so listening discretion and viewing discretion is advised. This is a paranormal horror crime show, so the scenes and the sounds can be a little terrifying to those little ears and those little eyeballs. And of course, there's obviously cussing. I mean, it's me. Also, please don't do anything that these stupid ass people do in this video or this podcast. This is for entertainment purposes and for you guys to listen with your ears, consume the knowledge. And now, time for the show. Exploring the paranormal perspective.
Well, nope. Okay, mic is on now. What's up, everybody? It's Shauna with Exploring the Paranormal Perspective and founder of Geeks Paranormal. Welcome to the channel. If you have not been here before, I do podcasts and I do a lot of other extra things. But today we're doing a true crime special with my guest, my friend, Pam Ernest. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I'm so sorry for earlier.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no.
We
That
had a bit of
was my fault, too.
confusion. Because I was 3 p.m. last year. And when I sent it out to her, it was the 3 p.m. one still and not the 5 p.m. one. So we had a little bit of confusion going on.
It worked out.
Yeah, it did.
We got it.
But today, the disclaimer earlier said, make sure that you're 18 and up. If you are letting your children watch this, just be aware there's trigger warnings going on throughout this because we are talking about the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders of 77. And Pam was a little girl during that time. So she is going to give us a lot of insight on what happened and what was going on. And I'm just going to go ahead and change scenes. Well, I'm not going to change scenes yet because we'll talk about it first and then we'll change some scenes. So during that time, how old were you?
I was about 8 years old when this happened because I was born in 69. So I was the age of these little girls.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 8, 9, and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the little girls were Lori Lee Farmer, Denise Milner, and Michelle. How did you say her?
Gouze.
And these little girls, they were so precious looking. And just to see that and to know the situation behind it, because I've done a lot of research on it. Pam has done way more research than I've done on it. But It's scary, especially considering we went to camp when we were little girls.
Absolutely.
But when I went to camp, like I was saying to you earlier, I had a counselor in every other cabin, and we had an older girl that was in the cabin with us.
Hmm.
So, and there was like 6, 7 girls in the cabin in one cabin,
Yeah.
but their tent was wide open to the
Yeah.
woods and hidden behind a shower because the counselor's cabin was on the other side of the shower.
Yeah. Let me, well, we're talking about that. Are you good with me popping up the pictures and
Sure, go ahead.
we can show a map of this too, of what it actually looked like. There we go. Okay. So, let me back it up a little bit. We'll start at the beginning. These are the little girls. This is Denise Milner, Lori Farmer, and Michelle Gouze.
Oh, look how cute they are. Makes me
I
want to hug my
know.
daughter.
I know, right? And this is, I just put this in here. This is just the entrance into Camp Scott. It was located, a couple of miles south of Locust Grove, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Um,
Which is only an
and
hour from me, and it's
yeah,
like an hour 15 minutes from you, so not that far
yeah,
away at all.
no, not really. And these, I just put these in here for posterity. I thought they were cool. They used to call the road that went into it the Cookie Trail.
The cookie trail. Oh, how cute.
Mm, it was. This is the one I wanted to get to. We were talking about where things were.
Mhm.
And you can see the X is the Kiowa camp. And that is where the girls, that's the camp that they were in. Um, and I don't know, that one doesn't have that good. Let's go back in a little bit. Somewhere I have, okay, there it was. Ah, hang on. There we go. Okay, this was the one I was looking for. You'll see where it says tent 8. That's where the girls were located.
Yeah.
And you'll see there was the counselor's tent over here, Carla Wilhite. Can you see my mouse on there? Is it showing up?
Yes, it's showing up.
Okay, cool. And you'll see between the counselor's tent and tent 8 is the showers.
That
So
is
they could
so
not see
far
them.
away.
It was back there. It was back a ways. And the bodies were found. This says the bodies were found over here, but I know Carla saw, I'm not sure that's accurate. Is that accurate? Because Carla found the bodies
Yeah,
on her way to the showers.
she found the bodies on the way to the showers, but not only that, she says she thought she heard something and saw some lights in the woods, but
She did.
they just
She
discounted
heard
it.
they did. Because she had gone out and what we need to keep in mind too, Carla was 18 years old. This was her first year. I mean, she had been uh, a kid at the camp since like 71.
Mhm.
So she'd been there every summer, up until she was old enough to be a counselor when she turned 18. She
Mhm.
wasn't very old either.
No.
And,
I mean,
it's
she's
pretty
like,
wild.
honestly, a lot of those little girls are lucky, but I wonder where exactly was his, because he had a house somewhere close by, didn't he? Or was it
He
a
did.
cave?
It was his mother's house. Um,
Ah, was it
okay,
close to the
so
tent?
it wasn't far. So here's Camp Scott right here, right?
Okay.
Right here is Buckskin House. That is his mother. So it
Oh,
was very close. It was pretty much just over a hill.
so it was closer to tent 8 than it was to any of the other tents.
I don't know. I
Do you
don't think
think
it
he may
was.
have scouted the area? Now, the person I'm talking about is
Absolutely, he did.
Hart. I'm talking about Hart on that.
Yeah.
So,
And
oh my God.
absolutely, he scouted it. Because you'll see right down here's the Schroff Ranch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the guy's name. Was it Jack Schroff or Jerry Schroff? I think it was
I
Jack,
don't remember. I think it was
or maybe
Jack.
Jim, and I'm not sure. But he's from Tulsa, and he had this ranch. And when he came out, he realized that his door had been busted in, and some stuff was stolen, including some Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. There was a roll of black duct tape that was gone. There was uh, rope that was gone, and some other things were missing too, some food stuffs. Um, But when they found the girls, they had been tied up with rope
Mm.
and they had tape on them. And it was all the stuff that matched what came from Schroff's. So Schroff was an immediate suspect.
Oh my God, I don't doubt it. Now
Oh,
the
absolutely.
knots were two different kind of ties though, weren't they?
They said that they were, but what they were, the first one is just, a regular knot. I wish I had a piece of string.
Uh,
Where you just take it and you know, you make a pretzel basically and pull
right.
it tight. And when they said it was a double knot, that's when, like, you double tie your shoes, you do the
Mm-hmm.
one knot and then you do the same knot on top of it.
Yeah.
That's what they considered two separate knots. Was one was a single and
Oh,
one
and
was a
one was a
double.
double knot. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if one of the girls may have woke up or something and he didn't. I mean, it's
Um,
sad to say, but because it is such a sad situation because these are babies. These are babies.
mhm.
And but maybe one of them was waking up and struggling and that's why he tied the double knot or
It's hard to tell, honestly. I know what he was doing. When they searched the tent, they found that he had unhooked the back flap so he could go in through the back. So he didn't have to actually come around the front. And
mm,
he was less likely to be seen because that back did face the woods.
mm,
And so he came through the back. And what he most likely did was they were, trigger warning, they were bludgeoned to death. Two of the girls were bludgeoned to death.
yeah.
And it looked like it was immediate strikes that killed two of them.
Okay.
So what he did, and they were probably all three asleep. It was happened between what, three and or
Three,
four and
4 and 5. It was
yeah, four
between
and
four
five
and five.
somewhere. And so he more than likely killed two, and then most likely the other one woke up, um, because there was, the next day some campers said that they did hear someone crying for their mom.
Oh God.
So probably, could it have been her? Yeah, it could have been her.
Yeah.
And the third girl, they believe that she was, killed outside of the tent and she was asphyxiated. She
Yeah.
was choked with the rope.
Now was
And
she the only one that was trigger warning guys molested or was
they
all
were
of them?
all
Oh
three
my
molested.
God. What a freaking
And that's something else that's really wild too. So there were some things that had happened the night before that should have been more of an alarm set throughout the camp.
mm-hmm.
Um, because we had a counselor that was seeing a dim light out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And when they saw it, they turned their light on at it, it immediately went out. And so
Yeah.
they're like, what, not sure what that was. So
Yeah.
they turned their light back off. And then they saw it come back on and they did notice it went towards the Kiowa camp. So they were assuming it was kids
Now could
and
it have been
didn't
those
follow
three
up.
Boy Scouts that might have been going through the woods or
I don't know. It could have
um
been. But the interesting part is the dimness of the
yeah.
light, because what they did find by the girls' bodies, and all three of the girls were taken out. The two the two that were killed first were zipped up in their sleeping bags
Yeah.
and they were carried out and put by a tree. And then the third, little girl, she was, they don't know if she was led out or carried out, one or the other. And
Mm.
she was killed out there, but she was laid on top of the other two.
Now do you have the picture of the blanket of the
I
sleeping bag?
do. Yeah, I don't. Let me see. Let me go this way because I think. No, let me go back. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
There it is. Okay. That's how
Mm,
they were found, and they did cover up, Denise. She was the one that was asphyxiated outside of the tent. They did the counselors that found her. They did
mm,
cover her before any of these were taken.
right. Oh my God.
But she was found. Her clothing was missing from the waist down, and she had been, choked to death. Basically, it's
Now,
horrifying.
didn't she have like a makeshift gag wrapped around her?
She did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that poor
She did.
baby. And to
I know.
think all that, I mean, because there's so many theories out there that so many people had. Like they said that there was a note that was left warning them of something going to happen.
Yeah, and there was a note, and they didn't have the exact wording of it because it got thrown away shortly after it was found. And it was like a week before when just the counselors were there that 4 Girl Scouts were going to be murdered or something like that. But then they didn't really pay attention to it because I guess some of the other girls admitted that they had written that note as a joke.
Oh.
So that got discounted.
Oh my God. And then it happened. I wonder if
And then
those
it happened.
girls felt horrible.
You know they did.
Oh
You know they did.
man. And then wasn't there something else that was another like clue? Like weren't there glasses or something left?
Yes. There were glasses that were stolen the night, either the night of or the night previous from different tents.
Mm-hmm.
And these tents all had that back flap undone. And one of them had put their purse underneath their bed or their
Mm-hmm.
cot, and it had been drug out from the back. And they found the purse later on by, can't remember if it was by the bodies or if it was just in the woods.
Oh
But
man. It was like he was peeping on them.
he was peeping on them. Yeah, he was stealing their stuff. And it was like it was almost a game, like, let me see how close I could get to you without you noticing that I'm
Right?
right beside your head
Oh my
and stealing your
God.
stuff. Yeah. How creepy is that?
That is so creepy. Oh my God.
But this picture here, this is what the tents were. They were right tents that were on platforms that were off the ground a little bit. And I have a big fear of creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
And this area in Oklahoma specifically is crawling with copperheads
Oh my God.
and all kinds
Spiders,
of,
wolf
yeah.
spiders, tarantulas,
Oh,
scorpions.
could you imagine? But I guess it really wasn't a problem because Camp Scott had been around for 50 years prior to these murders.
Oh my
So
God.
they're,
Yeah.
and they ran roughly 800 kids a year through these camps. So
Wow. Oh my gosh.
they had a
Now,
really good history up to that point.
yeah. Now, didn't they have like multiple suspects? They had 4 suspects. They
Mhm.
had Sonny James, Stephen, I
There
can't
was a
even,
Miller. One of them was a Miller.
and
Um,
Hart, and they had
then
Kuntz, not Kuntz. What was his name? I'm looking for it.
they
Where is it?
honestly they ended up looking at a total over the years of 139 people to rule out as suspects.
Wow.
So yeah, for I know some people have said that they immediately pinpointed Hart and just went after him. They didn't. They looked
Well, they
at a
had a guy
lot of
in
different
custody
people.
that looked just like Hart, but
They
they never
did from
released his
Springfield.
name.
Well, he was from Springfield, and it was really strange because he looked a lot like Hart,
Mhm.
and he was in the same type of industry. And I can't remember, was he a butcher? Is that what it was?
I think he was a butcher.
I think that's what it was. He was a butcher as well, but when they ran his fingerprints, they weren't his. It wasn't Hart.
Hmm.
But
It
yeah,
was, it was Hart. It wasn't the other guy, right? I'm getting confused.
I'm sorry.
Was it? It was
The,
Hart.
the
Oh, the fingerprints weren't Hart.
okay, so the guy from Springfield, when they ran
Mhm.
his fingerprints, when they were
Yeah.
trying to identify him, it came back as not matching Hart's prints. So the guy from
Oh.
Springfield was not Hart.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And they did
Frank
say that there were,
Justice. It was Frank Justice.
mm,
Well, Sonny James, Frank Justice, Bill Stevens, and Gene Hart were the suspects.
mhm, that were right off the bat.
Yeah.
And there was a really good reason they thought Hart was an excellent suspect.
Oh, yeah.
First and foremost, he had just escaped prison 4 years prior and had been on the run
Mhm.
ever since. And he had the MO of he had kidnapped and raped and left for dead 2 pregnant women in Tulsa. And he had tied them up with rope, put tape on them, and tied them to trees, and then raped them and left them there to die. And luck, God was looking out for him because they were able to get loose and get to the authorities, and they were able to positively identify Hart. So they knew for sure he did those things. And he was put in jail for, was it 10 years, I think? But he got out in two on good behavior.
Didn't he
And then
escape?
not this time. He was out
Oh,
on good
okay.
behavior this time. Okay. And then he starts robbing people in Tulsa. And he was doing this thing where he would go in, and he would lift things from their bedside, a wallet, a purse, glasses, over and over. He was stealing women's glasses, men's glasses. And that was something that the girls that he had kidnapped said, he took our glasses and was trying them on to see if they would match his prescription. So that was a really weird little thing that he had.
Yeah.
But then he made the error of, on the fourth burglary, he burgled a Tulsa police officer's house.
Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty dumb.
he got busted immediately, took in, and they basically, he admitted that he was doing it. So they had all this. Well, because he was on uh, parole
Mhm.
for the kidnapping and rape, he immediately lost that. He
Yeah.
lost his get out of jail free card, basically. And so when he went in for 4 counts of burglary and all these things. So when he went back for the hearing, he ended up getting maximum on everything. So he was set to serve 308 years for
Jeez.
all of that. Yeah. And
Wow.
at that time, what he did was he did escape. And within 2 years of being back in prison, he escaped. And then they caught him, put him back in jail, and he escaped again. And then that's when he was out for 4 years on the run.
Yeah, you would think they would have known about his house and where
They
he
did know
might
about his
be.
house. They did know about his house.
He must have just
Something
knew they were coming or something. How did he know they were coming?
because where he lived, he had been born and raised in Locust Grove. He was a member
Mhm.
of the Cherokee tribe.
Mhm.
At that time, there was a lot of discourse between the Native American tribes and the United States. They were really looked down on. It was a very hate fueled situation, for lack of
Mhm.
better words. And so it was an us versus them kind of thing. So when they see, hey, the police are looking for Hart's one of
Mhm.
us. So there was a lot of his family taking him in, and they admitted later they did take him in, they did hide him, they did care for him during all of this time.
Right.
And so they knew where he was,
And they
and there
knew
was
what he had done and they still did it.
they did. Yeah. Yeah,
That
they did.
is, I mean, I understand loving your family member, but I'm sorry if my son came to me after escaping after what they did, I'd be putting his ass back in jail. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And but when it comes down to, and they were questioned, did you think it was okay for him to have committed these 3 murders, if that was the case? Absolutely not. None of them believe that, either side, white
Oh,
or Native American, believe that. However, they did not feel that Hart was guilty of the murders. They felt that the sheriff had a vendetta out for him because he had been on the run for 4 years and the sheriff hadn't been able to catch him.
right.
And his mom really, really was a big advocate of that. He's after
Mhm.
my Sonny boy, and that's was his nickname, and his family was Sonny. And his mother, her name was Ella Mae Buckskin. And yeah, she was felt very strongly that they were targeting her son.
Mm.
And so that was kind of the slant that was put on that was,
Yeah.
you know, and he became a folk hero
Oh
basically
my
because he was on
God.
the run. Yeah. And the police just couldn't capture him. And yeah, it was really crazy how it
Well, he
it
was a
went.
football star, wasn't he?
He was a football star. Yes.
He was
He
a
sure
football
was.
star in high school. He had good credentials all throughout until he got caught for what he did to those two poor women.
Kidnapping and rape. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there was
And
there was something wrong there.
yeah, there was something going on. I'm
Bit of
wondering
a
how much he got
sociopath.
away with
Yeah.
growing up, you know.
Yeah. And
Especially
it's interesting because the last interview that he gave was with the Cherokee I can't remember the name of the publication. It was the Cherokee not Gazette, but it was something like that. I have it somewhere. But when he talked to them, he was very much, they've always been after me, and I'm not a hero. People say I'm a hero, but I'm not a hero. Very narcissistic attitude. And yeah, I don't know
oh
where I
my
was going with
god.
that.
We'll talk about how he got away with everything.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was just
advocate, the Cherokee advocate.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. And what was wild, and we talked a little bit about this backstage because when this happened, I mean, just police descended on this area, on the camp, and when they discovered that the girls were murdered, the counselors, they immediately did a head count, and they located the tent that the girls were in the Kiowa camp and realized that all three of them were gone and that there was blood everywhere. So they knew that's where it was. And they knew that they probably had three girls that were deceased as opposed to one that they could see.
Yeah.
And they, let's see, all these police had descended on the area. They were immediately bussing these girls out and back to Tulsa.
Yeah.
And so they were calling in the cavalry, basically. And something that you and I had talked about backstage a little bit, which I find fascinating because I'm fascinated with the paranormal, as you are. There is a supernatural slant to some of this. And let me see if I can find the dogs. They did bring in world-renowned tracking dogs.
And that was Gene Hart that y'all just saw.
Yeah, let me back that up and we'll show you what he looked like.
That was
this
him.
was yes, go ahead.
Oh, that was his football star picture when he was a high school football star. And his mugshot.
This is his mugshot, yeah. And there's the news article when he was charged on the fourth count of burglary and sentenced to the 308 years. And I think I may have made a mistake because the picture that I have here, you'll see that his inmate number is the 79547. That's the number he had when he passed away. So I'm thinking that was probably a later mugshot.
A later mugshot, yeah. More than likely.
There's where the parole was revoked after he was charged with burglary. And this was interesting because we talked a little bit, and it may have been backstage, about there was three caves that were involved. And on one of them, this was written on one of the walls, and it was dated 6/17/77, which the murders were done on the 13th. So, and it just says
what's freaky to me too is that my anniversary is on the 13th of June, and my husband's birthday is on the 17th of June.
Really?
Yeah. So whenever I saw that and I was researching and found the day that they died, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and the girls had died the day before Michelle Gousset's parents' anniversary. And Lori Farmer's birthday was the 18th. So she would have turned 9 on Saturday. But they were killed on the 13th.
Were they ever able to match that writing up to anybody else's writing?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So it makes you wonder, did he write that or was somebody else writing that just to warn people that he was there?
I kind of tend to think he did. And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is this was close to where they found things that were stolen from the Girl Scout camp in
Oh.
because in the cave they found a pair of panties. They found the roll of tape, um, and they matched up the edge of the tape where it had been torn. They
Mm-hmm.
matched that to the tape that was on Denise Milner's body.
Oh. Didn't they get a fingerprint off the tape or was it off the flashlight?
It was the flashlight that they found a
Um,
fingerprint, but I think it was a partial print or something, but they couldn't match it up.
oh God. And now the paranormal aspect that you were going with on the dogs,
Hmm.
those poor baby dogs.
I know. So they brought these dogs in from Pittsburgh, and they were world renowned tracking dogs. They could find anything anywhere, basically. So they brought them in to have this done. And before, or I don't know if the dogs had just got there that morning, can't remember, but it was right about the time the dogs were coming in. Some of the investigators were together and talking, and one of them said, "Hey, heads up. Um, I've gotten word that a Cherokee medicine man put a curse on the dogs and that they're going to die." And they were just like, okay, whatever, crazy. And so what happens was the German Rottweiler, his name was, I'm going to say Butz. I don't know if it's
Mm.
Boots, maybe it's Butz. He died on Saturday from heart failure resulting from heat prostration,
And
is
that
what
was
they
the
assumed.
Saturday after
As the
the
Saturday,
search or
no, that's
before.
the day. Yeah, they were searching.
Oh my
Yeah, he died
God.
during the search. And so that was on
Oh,
Saturday,
poor
the
baby.
18th. And then the other dog that's shown here, his name is Harris, Harras.
Mm,
When they were taking him back to Pittsburgh, okay, keep in mind, this is a very highly trained dog, right?
mm,
He jumps out of the car window, runs into oncoming traffic, and is hit and killed. And it's
weird.
like, what the hell?
Right? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And that was Sunday.
Wow.
That was the next day when he was taking him back to Pennsylvania.
So did they ever find out which medicine man did that or
No,
no?
no, they're
Of course not, because they aren't going to go into the paranormal back then.
no, no. And
Uh,
they wouldn't have been told on anyway, not
right.
in this situation.
Now, wasn't there other paranormal aspects to this as well, aside from the dogs?
There was, and something when it comes to the dogs, they would run, be hot on the trail and be get right out in the middle of a field and then would just stop and just be like, looking around like, where did it go?
Yeah.
They would lose this trail just in the middle of an open field. And some of the guys were like, it's almost like they were joking. Well, it's like he turned into a bird and just flew away.
Oh, wow.
And what comes out later is that he had, there was a possibility. I don't know if it was ever 100% confirmed that he was training with a medicine man and had learned how to uh,
I,
shapeshift.
oh,
Yeah,
that goes into the shifter category.
it does. And,
Oh, weird.
and I always thought skinwalking was a relatively recent term outside of the Navajo
Mm-hmm.
tribes from that area. But some of the reports that I'm seeing, this is back in the 70s and 80s, and they talked about skinwalkers too in the Native American belief systems, not just Navajo. I didn't realize
Wow.
that. I thought
I
that
didn't
was,
realize that either. That's interesting.
it is. It's
I'm gonna
pretty
have to go
wild.
research more on that.
I know. I
That is
know.
crazy.
I thought it was nuts. Well, that happens. And then, so one of the guys, his name's Harvey Pratt, and he's with
Mm-hmm.
the OSBI, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Native American, but he's not Cherokee.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and his brother, they came in basically to go undercover to try to infiltrate, and be able
Yeah.
to
Find
more
out more
easily,
information.
yeah, because they, you could tell by looking at them that they had the features of Native.
Yeah.
And so they did that and they did learn some information, but they were also going out and camping in these areas, just the two of them, to try to catch, movement or, figure out where he's at.
Yeah.
And they were sitting around the campfire, and this cat, out of nowhere, a house cat, comes screaming and jumps on Harvey's chest and just like hits him, yowling, bounces off and disappears into the night. And they're like, what the hell was that? You know,
Right. Was that like a symbolic thing or something of the cat?
he didn't know if it was symbolic. He was like, he wondered, in his words, I wondered if it was Hart.
Oh, that would make sense.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So,
That would
yeah.
make so much sense. Oh my God.
So there's
Now, mm,
all this weird stuff too. So
yeah, that is crazy. There was also something with bullets, though, wasn't there?
yes, Harvey did go to his own medicine man and asked for if he could get medicine for his bullets, that they would find the person, and be only for the person that actually committed these crimes. And Harvey was part of the group that they eventually were able to win the confidence of a woman that had an idea of where Hart was staying. And so they went and they looked. They were pretty sure he was at this place. It was clear out in Cookson Hills, which is like 50 miles south of where the murders took place. And Cookson Hills, let me see if I have a photo somewhere. There it is. This is this is what Cookson Hills area looks like. So you can
Wow.
see just miles and miles of terrain like this.
You wouldn't
How
see
hard would it
anybody.
be to find anybody? Yeah,
Yeah. You would have to be on foot with dogs because there's no way you could find anybody
mhm,
up top. I mean, that is crazy.
it is. And what happened, how he ended up here, um, I guess he had gone to a medicine man, told Hart had gone to a medicine man,
Mm,
help me, I need help. They don't question. Their laws are different
yeah.
than our laws. They don't question if you need help, they give you
Yeah.
help.
Mm,
And so he got hold of a guy named Sam Pigeon that lived in Cookson Hills and said, here, Sam, I'm sending Hart to you. You need to take care of him.
mm,
And Pigeon doesn't question it because you don't. I mean, that's just how
yeah.
things are. You're asked to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
So he took in Hart, and Hart lived with him for like, I think, 10 months or so before he was apprehended.
To
And it was just
think somebody that, I mean, granted his MO was girls, but
mhm,
still,
to know you lived with someone for 10 months that had been capable of
yeah,
these types of violence. Yeah.
that is scary.
Mhm.
I would have, I've, regardless of loss, I would have said no. Oh my God, that's crazy. It
Right.
is. It's a scary situation because his house was, like you said, not too far from the tents in the campground,
Mhm.
and they have pictures of his room and his house and everything. It was like a mess. It was
Okay, so
disgusting.
where you're talking about, that's Pigeons. That was 50
Oh,
miles
that was
south in Cookson
pigeons.
Hills. Yeah, that was
Oh.
Pigeon's house. And but that's where Hart was living, was with Pigeon. And
Mhm.
Pigeon had I keep calling him by his last name. His first name's Sam. He had grown up in this home. He was born and raised there. It was a 3-room shack, tar paper on the outside of it,
Uh,
very small, very simple. There was no running water. No. I think they had an actual ice box in there, but I don't think it had ice in it. I think they said that they kept clothing and things. They used it more like a dresser than an actual ice
oh,
box.
wow.
But yeah,
So,
and they did find at Pigeon's house. They found a shaving kit that was up on top of a shelf.
mm,
And when they opened it, there was a little blue mirror in it and a toy corncob pipe. Both of these were identified as things that had been stolen from the night
ah,
of the Girl Scout murders from the camp.
wow. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That is crazy.
Hmm.
Now, going on this, we've been condemning Hart the whole time, which
We
he
have.
did it, but there were other suspects. There was, like I said before, Sonny James, Frank Justice, Bill Stevens, and Jean Leroy Hart. There was, though, here, I'll show you their pictures real quick. And
Yeah.
I don't wait. You're seeing it, but they're not seeing it. Why are they not
Oh.
seeing it? I don't know. But anyway, let me try again. Because I don't know why y'all are not seeing it. Oh shoot. Technical difficulties is my fault.
Boy, that's an old picture of Hart, isn't it?
It is an old picture of Hart. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Well, maybe. I don't know. I also cannot see that. Why not? It's just showing the controls. It's not showing the actual. What did I do?
No.
I know.
No
What did I
technical issues.
do? All right, let's stop sharing real quick. Let's see. Where is my Zoom? Well,
While you're doing that, yeah, this was
there we
something
go.
we talked a little bit backstage too. This changed the way we lived, in
Yeah.
especially in this area. Across the whole United States, though, it did as well. But we didn't stay out after dark anymore like we did before, and
Mhm.
more likely to lock doors and you know
Yeah. So the terrorization that went on throughout the whole state of Oklahoma wasn't just in Oklahoma. It was a national thing because it went wide when they were trying to find him. And a lot of moms, when the camp called the moms and told them to come get your kids, they came and got the girls. But at the Boy Scout camp,
Camp Garland was 3 miles down the road and across the road from where the Girl Scout camp
oh no,
was. And there was 130 boys there at the same
Mhm.
time that the Girl Scout murders happened. And only 13 boys were picked up. Now they did increase the uh, lost the word,
the
security,
yeah.
but the camp never closed.
Oh my God, wow.
That's wild to me.
Now, a lot of people believe that Sonny James was part of it. A lot of people believe that Sonny James was part of it. They said that there was a letter that was sent to him while he was incarcerated about how they knew what he did and about the murder that took place with him and his friend. Fred, let's see, what was his friend's name? I'm trying to find the letter. Because
Oh, I didn't realize Frank Justice was the uncle of Sonny James.
yeah, I didn't either.
Huh.
And a lot of people were referring to that, saying that they believe he's the one that did it. Because there was a minister, wasn't there, that was part of the trial because he heard stuff.
He supposedly picked them up, I think. They were walking along the road and he said he picked them up. But I think he
Uh,
was later discredited. The pastor was.
yeah, because they said that the minister attended both the preliminary hearing and the trial of Jean Leroy Hart, and claimed that he was there.
Mhm.
And that he wasn't fearful of his life during the time he gave brief interviews with the media during the preliminary hearing of Jean Leroy Hart, and that they talked about the Scroff residents and everything like that. But they also said that the minister heard Dr. Hoffman, testify as to the injuries each of the three children suffered, including two of the girls were found zipped up in their sleeping bags, and the third girl was partially uncovered, strangled, and cloth gag found on her body. So he said he heard the doctor say this stuff.
Mhm.
And also during the preliminary hearing, the minister said that he had heard the testimony from Barbara Day regarding the note found by the counselor Michelle Hoffman, which was ignored by the camp director, Barbara Day.
Yeah.
And he claims that he heard a lot of things.
Yeah. He
And
he really
go ahead.
inserted himself into.
He did. He did. He also said that he heard from a 16-year-old that the crime was being planned at Camp Scott. I mean, where did you hear it from? Who was the 16-year-old girl?
Yeah.
I don't understand how this minister even was able to really grab a name for himself on that, except for what he got later.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Um, but there was another topic that I wanted to go back on, and that was the Boy Scouts. That somebody had stated that they called the OSBI and that nobody would listen to them. And they said that he was a Boy Scout in Troop 17 at Camp Garland when those murders occurred. And that they had just we had the first campsite at Camp Garland and only a quarter mile from Camp Scott, which that's not correct because it was further away from Camp Scott.
A little bit. Yeah.
He said that those girls that were murdered were in the first campsite closest to Camp Garland. The first night of camp, we had 3 boys that bragged to the entire troop that they were going to go to Camp Scott that night to get some girls. They indeed went, and in the middle of the night returned and woke up a lot of us arguing. One boy was crying and saying he didn't want to get into trouble, and the other 2 boys were angry and telling him to keep his mouth shut and they won't get into trouble. The next morning, the police arrived and took all the boys 14 years old and older into the campsite building for questioning. This guy was only 12 years old at the time. He said, myself and about 10 other boys told our scoutmaster about the 3 boys and what they said and did, but he told us to shut up and let the police do their job. Do we
really?
Yeah.
I never ran across that. That's wild.
It is so wild. Also states that the Mays County detectives and OSBI found a drunk Indian, quote, to blame this on, and they don't want to be embarrassed. I've even called KRMG and emailed Channel 8. Nobody wants to look into this. I guarantee if someone advertised, I don't know what that word is, sorry, to have members of Boy Scout Troop 17 come forward, you would get over a dozen that would remember those 3 boys and what they did. Those 3 girls and their families deserve justice. I ended up going to high school with 2 of those boys, and they were some of the roughest kids at Rogers High School, class of 83. I remember their names. Were the boys part of it, and they were part of high society, and they were hiding it and blamed Hart?
My question would be, as hot and heavy as the sheriff's department and OSBI was after the killer, I mean, they had, if you look at the parents,
Yeah.
Okay, we've got G.E.E.K.S as a businessman in Tulsa. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Bo Farmer. He was the head of the emergency department at Ascension St. John. I can't remember what it was back at that time, but he just retired from that a few years ago. And he was a high-ranking doctor. And then you've got Denise Milner's. Her father was a Tulsa police officer.
Oh my God. You
I
bet
mean,
his ass he would have.
They would have between the 3 of them, if they thought that these other kids had been involved, they would have raised holy hell to go after him. I feel like
too. I don't think they would have covered it up for some high profile.
No.
Do good.
No, because they were
interesting.
Everything. Yeah.
That is very.
There's a lot of really weird, and like I said, they ended up Sheriff Reed, that is current sheriff. He said that they ended up looking at over 139 different potential suspects.
Oh, wow.
It was all said and done.
And he was a little boy at the time too. I remember him stating in an interview that I was a little boy at the time. And whenever I got promoted, I was begged to go back onto this cold case.
Yep.
And it's amazing
he grew up just down the road from all of this. And he said actually where he lived, he had to drive by the entrance to the camp every day.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So he was very familiar with it.
Right. And this is the gentleman that we're talking about. Hang on, let me see if I can get it up.
Andy Reid, or is it Andy? No, Mike Reid.
I think his name is Mike Reid.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, Mike Reid. The families came to him and asked him if he would look into it again, and he agreed to. They ended up raising $30,000, which was what was needed to run DNA testing on everything that they could find, basically. And after all those years, this was in 2018. Now there was DNA that was run, I want to say in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and then again in 20 something. But in 2018, when they were able to pull even more, let me back up a little bit, because when um, Gene Hart was put on trial,
Mm-hmm.
um, you have to just go with, it has to be beyond a shadow of a doubt for someone
Yeah.
to be found guilty on something. All the evidence that they had um was all circumstantial. But like one of the guys said, how many circumstances do there have to be for it to not just be circumstantial anymore,
Right.
And that's what they were running into. There was just so much, but all it took was the defense team to sow that reasonable doubt into the minds of the jurors, and they did, and they were successful, and he was acquitted. But he didn't go free, because he still owed 305 years of his 308-year sentence. So regardless, he did go to jail, but the families were taken into the judge's chambers, and the judge, said sometimes the guilty go free. So even the judge believed that Hart was guilty of this.
Yeah.
And so Lori Farmer's parents, they asked for all of their daughter's things back at that time. So they took it, and it was just put in their house and left alone. And so when we come up into 2018, when Mike Reed is like, yeah, we're going to continue on with this, and see if we can get, there he is, if we can
Mm-hmm.
get DNA testing, modern day technology. A lot of things have improved since all of this happened. Let's see if we
Yeah.
can find anything. They were able to pull really good samples from the things that of Lori Farmer's that had been at
Mm-hmm.
her parents' house all this time. And based on that, they pretty much ruled out. Now it was blah, blah, degraded to a point, but they were able to rule out everyone else that had ever been looked at as a potential person of interest, except for Hart. There he is.
Yep.
He's the only one that lasted through all of this. And something else that was interesting was one of the medicine men. Um, he said a few things. He said, number one, the to take the old I'm going to have to look that one up. I can't remember exactly. Take the old tobacco. And so they did. The sheriff put it at the four corners of the courthouse. And because four is a very important number in the Cherokee culture, four would prove to be very important to um, Gene Leroy Hart, too.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that that would happen. And the medicine man said, okay, whoever did this, they will pay. They will die from this. This will happen. And so Hart was acquitted. He was sent to prison, and he went back to McAllister to the Oklahoma State Pen, where he had been before and had actually escaped from before. And while he was there, he was not even 2 months from the time that he was acquitted on this and went to prison. He was out in the prison yard, and he had just finished lifting weights, and he had just finished running, or he was in the process of running, one or the other. And he dropped dead from a massive heart attack and died. And guess what the date was?
What was the
The
date?
4th of June. So there's your four.
Oh,
Yeah. And the person that was responsible, for this.
wow. Well, guys,
So
if you believe in the paranormal like we do, that is some wicked stuff.
that's some Cherokee medicine is what that is.
Yes, that
Yeah.
definitely is. And there was newspaper clippings all over about the Girl Scout murder trials. I mean, like I said, it was a national thing that was
They came in from everywhere.
Really just crazy. I mean, there's where they got him. Oops, I can't. There we go. But was this the house that he was staying at?
Yeah, that was Pigeon's house.
That is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that refrigerator you were talking about right there.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
It's not a refrigerator. It's an ice box. That's an
ice box.
actual ice box where they would take a block of ice and put in.
Oh,
That
wow.
was pre-refrigeration. Yeah.
Wow. And Mike, whenever he finally came out and said, yes, it was Gene Hart. Gene Hart was the one that did this. I bet those families had so much closure on that.
They did, and they still, the farmers did ask because they could have they have enough evidence. And like Mike Reed said, if he would be taken to court based on what evidence there is now, absolutely, he would have been found guilty. There was plenty of evidence to find him guilty at this point. Unfortunately, back at the time in 79, there just wasn't the technology available that could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was him.
Well, look at all the murders that are finally coming into from all the cold cases on the DNA testing that's finding all these people, unless they're already dead. It's been crazy. I mean, one of the true crimes I did last year on Tracy and JB, the DNA evidence that they found was linked to the guy they convicted. However, I still have my doubts on that one. But
yeah,
it's crazy. But there was still so much controversy because Jack Sonny James also received a letter starting with the June 13th, 1993 letter that he got or that was written to him while he was incarcerated. It states that my name is blank and I am writing you on this June 13th, 1993 to let you know that you aren't going to get away with what you did at Camp Scott on this date in 1977. You need to receive this message from the individual who found you out. Your scumbag friend blank did a good job of covering your murdering ass. That was the easiest part to prove and understand as you were part of his and blank because they don't have the names in there. Money-making operation. Oh, hang on, sorry.
Why aren't the names in there?
I don't know. That is a big question. Sorry, somebody just sent some subscriptions. Thank you, Ken, so much for your subscriptions. Thank you for gifting those to those wonderful peeps that are in the channel. You are amazing. And I didn't realize that this song was so long. I don't want it to overwrite us when we're talking. Thank you so much, Ken. You rock so much. But yeah, I don't know why, but there was somebody else that filled in the blanks, or the same person filled in the blanks. But he said, that's right. I'm going to say, you fucker, the theft of many things, including cars, guns, jewelry, farm equipment, and even bulldozers, just to name a few. Oh, yeah, let's not forget the trailer houses down in Shoto. You did a good job. You did a good and profitable job for the elected blank, but you should never killed those 3 little girls. You even sat on your baby murdering ass and let Gene take the entire rap, just like you did when you and your old friend blank shot blank, who crawled off into the woods and survived. Now, filling in some of the blanks that they're talking about, they're saying you even sat on your baby murdering ass and let Gene take the entire rap, just like you did when you and your old friend Freddie Rogers shot, they don't know who crawled off into the woods.
Wow.
Now, nobody knows who sent this letter. The police might know because it was sent to him while he was incarcerated, so they should have had this information.
You would think. Now, is this the guy that was in the Kansas pen? Was he in Lansing?
Let's see. He was in Oklahoma Department of Corrections.
Oh no.
That's Freddie Rogers. Jack Sonny does not state where he actually was. He was only 5'5" and 170 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes.
Oh, he's a little bitty dude, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. But he was charged with murder in the 2nd degree. Because he shot an old man in the back while he was robbing his house. But at the same time, nobody knows who sent this, or even if it really is something that was sent. But if he was with Gene, how does Gene know him? You
Yeah,
know,
that's
there's
really
no
odd.
connection with that. So
Mhm.
I don't know who sent this or who knows. They're saying that your scumbag friend was Ronson Frank Justice,
So
who,
that's the uncle of
yeah.
James. Okay. Huh.
So they think that they had
Oh,
something to do with it.
wasn't he an acquaintance of Hart's?
Oh, I think he was an acquaintance of Hart's.
I think he was too. I think that was in that article actually that you had up.
Well, that would make sense of them saying that's why you let Gene take the entire rap for this.
Hmm.
But who sent it? I was researching it, trying to find it, and I can't find anything on this letter. And this was dated back in 2010 that somebody had posted this. And somebody came back in and said, well, where did the letter come from? And how do we know this letter was sent at all? How do we know that it was sent to James? All the information that we find to base a suspect on is great, but means nothing if we can't confirm it as fact and proven, which is correct. I don't understand how they even got this or who they got this from. But it was something interesting that I had found while researching it, because it was,
Yeah, and you want to look at everything.
yeah, you want to look at
Not just
everything.
not just discard it.
But I mean, he was charged with
Interesting.
murder, but like everybody says, Gene fits the profile more because he was charged in the rape and almost killing of those women.
And his MO fit, he was stealing glasses, which he stole a bunch of glasses at camp too. In fact, when he was arrested, he was wearing women's glasses. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like his
It's his MO.
quirk.
Yeah.
Ugh.
His little, yeah. Well, and they say the reason that he was doing that, and it may not be the only reason, but one of the reasons he did that is because he had really poor eyesight and he was on the run, so he couldn't like go to the optometrist, right?
Right.
So he was stealing glasses, trying to find some that were close enough to his prescription that he could actually use them.
Well, that does make sense. I mean,
Makes
but
a little bit more sense, yeah.
oh my gosh.
When we get into like coincidences and things, let me pop this up. I'm in a group called Cemetery Enthusiasts on Facebook, and it's fascinating. Hang on, let me share my screen here. So this popped up 6 days ago, and I thought it was crazy. So somebody, and you'll see where it says, right here 6 days ago, because I just screenshot this today.
Yeah.
They posted about Gene Leroy Hart's headstone and where he's buried, and a little bit about the Girl Scout murders.
Oh my God.
And I just, the first time I've been in that group forever. First time I've ever seen him pop up on anything like that.
And it was right before we do the true crime.
Yeah. Just a few days before we do it.
Crazy.
Pretty wild.
Oh my gosh, that is wild. And he is in Ballou Cemetery, huh?
Yes, in fact, his that is a Indian cemetery, Native American cemetery, and his mother is buried in that same cemetery as well. She passed in 93.
She passed in 93, and that letter was sent on June 13th
Of 93.
93. Yes.
She died the 31st of May in 1993. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I don't know if it means anything, but it's interesting.
No, that is very interesting considering she died the 31st of 93, and that was sent on the day, the anniversary of the deaths of those babies in 93. So I'm wondering if somebody was holding their tongue until she passed away.
Why? I mean, but why would they?
Well, if they believe in the paranormal like we did, and they believe in the curse and everything.
Or, I mean, because if they said that James did that and that Hart did it with him, maybe they couldn't say, hey, we know Hart did it.
Well, they found boot prints that was out there that didn't belong to Gene. They were too big.
They found there was a print in the blood in the uh, tent too that they couldn't identify, and it was smaller, and they thought maybe
It was a
somebody had
counselor's.
accidentally stepped in it and backed out
Mm,
and said, "Oh crap, I just stepped in that,"
I don't
or
know.
didn't realize they stepped in it. I don't know. Who
That
knows?
would have been something that would have gone into evidence, and they would have asked the shoes off the counselors for that. And
You would
there's
think
nothing
so.
stating that I found, nothing stating that they even compared it to any of the shoes.
Not that I'm aware of. I know that they actually airlifted the entire floor of the tent out and took
Mm.
it to OSBI headquarters so that they could really go over it.
Well, looking at cases from back then, and even cases close to like 99, if you got a big, huge case like this going on and you're a small town cop, a lot of cops back then didn't know how to handle things.
You know what's crazy? Okay, so if you're a cop, 99% of the time, the first thing you're going to do is make sure that the press has nothing,
Has nothing on
no,
it. It's clear. The area is
exactly.
clear. Nobody's messing with anything. They tape
Do
it
you
off.
know? So when the sheriff was out there, do you know who they called in to take the crime photos?
Not the
The
press.
press. Absolutely.
Why would you do that?
It was a local guy. They called him in. He did their photos for them. I can't
Oh my
remember his name,
God.
but yeah, he came in and did the photographs for him, the initial photos.
Oh my
And I'm not saying that he
gosh.
immediately blared it everywhere. I don't know if he did or not, but yeah, the local newspaper guy was the actual crime scene photographer.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Why would
Hmm.
you do that? That is absolutely insane.
Small town. Well, we keep saying small town, but Locust Grove,
Yeah.
they
Look
have
at
a bigger population than Caney does, where I live.
well, did they back then?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
they did?
they had,
Well,
I can't remember what their population is.
they should
I'd
have
have
got
to
a
look.
forensic photographer come in from out of town so
Yeah.
that they could get somebody that was not biased to the situation. I This is just crazy.
Yeah. The whole thing's pretty wild.
It
So
it's
the population of Locust Grove was 1,090 in 1977. So it's smaller than Caney. I take that back.
yeah.
Caney's a little bit bigger.
Still though, you don't call a reporter in for anything like this until after everything is said and done.
No.
Oh my gosh. And you can
And
even
I
see they
understand they
have,
didn't call him in as a reporter, as a
yeah.
reporter. They called him in as a crime scene photographer, but still, it's
And
a
they even
little
had their photo
sketchy.
ops on a lot of different areas too. And it's like,
And
are
that's
you
something
just trying to make mainstream of this because you want to
yeah,
be big and get that?
that's something that Hart claimed was when he was captured that they were taking turns, uh, taking pictures of themselves with him, like
Oh
he
my
was a
God.
big
This,
game hunt kind of thing.
mm, oh my God.
I could see that. I could see him do that.
Oh yeah,
And he said that
definitely.
he was only handcuffed until they made him do the perp walk, when they took him out and took him to the prison, after he was fingerprinted and identified as Gene Leroy Hart. Then they put the shackles on him and made
Oh
him walk
my
out the perp walk.
God.
So I could see that. It could happen.
Ah,
It was a big deal, in that area. It was
yeah,
a big, big, big win for them to actually have
the
found
perpetrator.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of scary the situation that occurred and how it happened because back in the day, we all went to camp.
Yeah.
Like I said before, when I went, of course, was way after I was even born in 77. But
Baby.
but we had a counselor in every other cabin
Mhm.
when we went, and we were in concrete cabins. We didn't have open tents like that
Yeah.
because of situations like that.
Yep.
There was times that we did go to a tent, but it was a teepee tent, so there was only one opening, one entrance in and out of the tent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was a counselor in the tent with us, not outside the tent, another one.
You know, that's something we didn't touch on either. So
Mhm.
these tents were set up for 4 girls,
Yep.
and there was originally supposed to have been a fourth girl, and due to a technical error, she had been put in the wrong tent.
Oh my
And
God.
so they told her, you know, we'll just wait till tomorrow because there was a thunderstorm that night. There was a lot of rain. And they're like, we're not going to make her drag all her stuff and switch tents. So
Right.
she can stay in this other tent for the night. So
Oh
by the
my
grace of God,
gosh.
yeah.
Well, you know, that was also talking about the controversy of being able to hear
Mhm.
somebody outside the tent. Well, it was thunderstorming, and Gene, having lived in the woods like he has, I don't believe you would be able to hear him creep up on the girls. Now,
Yeah.
the Boy Scouts would be a different story. I believe, as rambunctious as boys can be, you'd be able to hear them coming.
Yeah. Be like
But,
a, yeah.
but
Be
somebody
like
that
a bear
had
crashing
planned
through the
this,
woods.
yeah, but somebody that had planned this, the eerie concept of a letter being received stating that 4 girls are going to get murdered, that should have been high radar immediately, regardless of if
Yeah.
girls admitted to writing it. That
There were
should have
some other
been.
things. Like the night before this happened,
Mhm.
before the girls arrived, um, don't remember if it was tent 8 or not, but one of them was slashed open, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it was
So there were
slashed open.
things. There was a guy caught in camp. He said he was just looking for water, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like the day before they got there, or the week before they got there. You know, there wasn't a fence around this place. There was, you know, there was a front gate and a back gate, but they were wide open all the time. They weren't locked.
Yeah, so
So
anybody could have
anybody,
came in.
hmm
So I mean, though it's been there for, at that time, how long was it there for?
50 years.
50 years.
Yeah.
Nothing may have happened, but you still got to think about the way the world is and how people are, and there are nomads all over the place,
Yep.
especially since COVID. There's a lot of people that are homeless that are living out in the woods,
Mhm.
and that is their home now, and they're going to be quiet when they are walking through the woods because they don't want anybody to find them,
Yeah, exactly.
especially those that want to live off radar. But regardless, everything that involves children should have been taken into perspective, and security should have been given. I mean, how many counselors were there?
There were one counselor per 12 children. I can do some quick math. There's 140 kids. So,
And all those counselors were in one tent, not in each of the tent of the girls.
yes.
That is a crime in and of itself. Now, Milner's grandmother, was she the one that sued the Girl Scouts for $3 million?
Milner Milner's parents and Farmer's parents together sued them for 3 million, and they lost.
They lost?
They lost.
How do you lose a
Magic
case like that?
um is it Magic and what was it? Magic something Girl Scout. It was the Magic. Ah, I lost the name of it. Magic something. Not Emporium. Magic. Shoot, I can't remember. So there were basically, if I did my math correctly, there were 12 counselors for 140
Wow.
girls.
And not a one of them.
So let's
I
do 12 to
mean,
make sure.
even in the military, we know we have to do rounds and check on the girls from time to time. Why weren't they checking on the girls? I mean, even
So yeah,
then,
12 counselors would cover 144 girls. So yeah, there was 12 for
yeah,
140.
there should have been a rotation of counselors. I
And
mean,
these
could have, would
counselors
have,
were
should have.
young, you know.
I'm surprised he
Carla
didn't go after the
Wilhite.
counselors. But I
Mhm.
guess with all the counselors being in one tent, that's 12 counselors in one tent. So you wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to really go after them.
as opposed to, yeah.
Little girls that are in a
Mhm.
tent. But oh my God, this is absolutely horrendous what happened to these babies. And I can see now why camps are like they are now with the security level and the counselors and sub counselors, because every counselor is going to need some help. I was a sub counselor too at the Camp Victory. That was my
Camp
camp.
Victory. I went to
Yes.
Camp White Memorials. Yeah, I went.
Camp Victory in Selma, Oklahoma. I mean, not Oklahoma, Alabama. But it was, or Sampson, Alabama. But we had we had perimeters. They had a fence around the whole perimeter. They had a gate where the bus went in. We had all the cabins right next to each other, and always somebody watching. Always somebody watching. I remember as a little girl saying, "Oh my God, I wish they'd go away."
Yeah.
But
Aren't you glad they didn't?
yes, I am, because we were out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
clear out in the
Yep.
middle of nowhere with a lake. I mean, they could have dropped a body in the lake and
Mhm.
other things, but the situation on this that happened is just, it's sorrowful, and it's really, really sad, and for the
It
parents that
affected
are out there.
so many people.
Oh yeah,
And
kids too, especially kids your age around that time,
yeah,
because you could have
I-
gone to this camp
yeah, yeah.
very
I
easily.
know Lori Farmer's mother, Sherry,
Mhm.
she did start the Oklahoma chapter of Murdered Children's. I
Group.
can't remember the total name of it, but yeah, it was the group. She did start that, and they've helped a lot of people. And she has said, her and her husband have said, what they ultimately wanted to do was get justice for Lori. And they didn't
Mhm.
ever feel for the longest time that they were able to do that, but they were able to do something.
Yeah.
And so, um, and then Mr. Gousset, he started something too, or he was involved in something as well. Um, so good, good, what
Good
good could come
things.
out of it? Yeah,
Yeah.
some good things did come out of it, but
Yeah.
it's horrifying.
And it still wrecks a lot of
Senseless.
people today, because a lot of people still don't believe Gene was the only one involved. A lot of people are still throwing out conspiracy theories of the situation, even though Mike Reed has proven the the
Mhm.
DNA of Gene. With our paranormal aspects, the medicine man that said the man will die.
Mhm.
He will suffer for what he's done. I mean, Gene
And it was
dying.
quick. It was quick. And he was in his 30s, and he dropped dead from a massive heart attack.
Yeah, that's something right there. Because was that a curse?
I don't know.
It's amazing all the stuff that's happened on this,
Mhm.
and then true crime. But at the same time, keep an eye on your children, folks. Even
Yeah,
if they're at camp. I mean, they even wrote letters to their mothers and
they did.
grandmothers. Sorry, I've been
They
talking so
did.
much, my throat's dry.
And you know what is wild? Something else we didn't bring up. So Denise Milner, she had a 5-year-old sister named Kathleen. And Denise had so excited about camp, and she had sold cookies to raise money so she could go to camp. And when it came down to time to go, she decided she didn't want to go. She didn't want to be away from the family. She wanted to stay home. She just didn't want to go. And her mom was like, you really need to go, kind of,
Mhm.
you'll make other friends and you'll have a good time. And if you decide that you really don't want to go, you can always call and we'll come get you. And so her mom talked her into going and went so far as having to get on the bus with her to comfort her before she left. And, so the mom, her name's Betty Milner.
Mhm.
And when she got back in the car, Kathleen was with her. And Kathleen asked her the question, Mommy, what happens when people die? And she was like, you know, what do you mean? And she said, what if everybody dies? And Betty's like, well, if people die, there's babies born all the time, so it's just a
Mhm.
cycle. And that's what happens. And Kathleen told her, everybody's going to die tomorrow. And they
Kathleen
did.
told her.
The
So
5-year-old
Kathleen may
sister.
have had some kind of intuition
Mhm.
of what was going to happen, and that's why she didn't want to go.
These are words directly from Betty's mouth. And it
Mhm.
was, there's a book, it's called Someone Cry for the Children,
Yeah.
but they did a documentary off of that as well. And in the documentary, that is where Betty states that. So it's in her own words.
Um. Well, I messed up. Hang on. All right, there we go.
Oh, the
There's the
letters.
letters that they sent to their parents and their aunt. Where was Michelle? Why I wonder why Michelle didn't write her dad.
I don't know. She wrote to her aunt instead,
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Karen. They were probably just, picking somebody they wanted to write a letter to right then.
Yeah. And it's so, oh my God, these letters.
I
Oh.
know. Especially Denise's, because she's like, I don't like camp. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I don't want to stay. I want to come home.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, it shows that she made some friends. I mean, even
She
though it was
did.
short
Yeah,
lived,
she did.
but yeah, oh God. These letters, I sit there and look at these letters and know that their parents didn't get these letters for a couple of days.
Hmm.
And when they got these letters, they had found out.
It's heart wrenching.
Yeah. Oh my God. One moment, I'm switching over.
There's on YouTube, the documentary Someone Cry for the Children is on there, and I would encourage anybody to watch it. The book was written in the 80s, and the documentary was done based on the book in the early 90s, 1991. It's excellent. It's got
It is.
some of the, eyewitnesses, Carla Will Heights on there. And, Carla she ended up becoming a police officer, I want to say in Tulsa. And I don't know if she still is or if she's retired. She might be retired now. But yeah.
Isn't that the same? There was another documentary that I've seen. I don't know if that's the same one of an actress.
Oh, Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah.
Whoa, what's that one called? Is it something Ashes?
Let's see.
Oh, I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, Kristen Chenoweth. They did like a 4 or 5 part series on Hulu, I believe, is where it's at.
And it was very interesting on some parts. It is interesting on some parts, but to me, it was a lot of basing it on herself because she almost went to this camp.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she was talking, there's a lot of good input on what happened and everything in that one as well. But what was the name of the other one? Someone Cry for the Children?
Yes. Someone Cry for the Children.
That one, if you are skittish and you get scared easily, it will make you lock your doors and check everything twice because it is really pretty freaky. And it's the Keeper of the Ashes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Keeper of the Ashes is that one.
There's some really good podcasts out there too on it as well.
There are some people went really deep into it. So yeah, you guys go out there and look at some of these podcasts that have gotten it. I wanted to bring Pam on because she was a little girl at the time. She could have gone to this because she was close enough to go to this camp. Yeah. And it scared a lot of people that were in a 200-mile radius of this incident. So that includes Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, a lot of, yeah, I guess the little blip over the line, Arkansas. But,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't that far from Salem Springs, and that's on the Arkansas line.
And that's where my babies are. So that is kind of scary in and of itself. I look back and I look at how overprotective my parents were and how they still are really overprotective sometimes. But I understand because I have a little girl of my own and I am very overprotective of her as well. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry, baby. I know I'm really overprotective and I don't want you to just go walking out by yourself, but you'll understand later on in life why. Because there are some scary people out here. I mean, just what was it months ago that they found a black car in Dewey, Oklahoma that was trying to catch a kid?
Yep.
I mean, it is scary out here. There's too much child trafficking going on, too many mentally ill people that are loose and not getting the help they need. And honestly, a lot of people need to look at their friends and their loved ones and even acquaintances. And if you hear something off kilter, you need to kind of think about that and be like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but talk to them
Encourage
first.
them to get help.
Yeah, talk to them first, find out the situation. Don't just automatically assume and condemn is
Right.
what I mean. But at the same time, it watch your children. Watch your children. That's all I'm saying. Pam, thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
And
This was
again,
a great one.
It was a great one. And I might get your brain in on another one because I have a friend that knows. Do you know the name Richard Grissom?
Ooh, I do.
He is actually his backyard neighbor. So I might get you in on another true crime if you want to get involved in that one.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, let me know.
It does. Awesome. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Ken, thank you for that 20 gifted subs. You are an amazing human being. So fantabulous. Guys, next week I'm going to have author Christopher Michael on. He is an amazing author. I've read some of his book that he sent me, and oh my gosh, if you're into Lovecraftian horror, you're going to like this guy.
Ooh,
and
nice.
he's a military brother from another mother. So I am going to support him all the way. So thank you guys. Stay free, stay safe. Always do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Pam, don't go anywhere, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Okay.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Haunted houses all night long, gaming streams and ghostly scenes, just chatting with the in-betweens. IRL, she's on the case, finding spirits in each place. Every game she plays with flair, geeks, paranormal, she's there. Ghosts and games all night, geeks, paranormal's bright, just chatting feels so right. Trying to stream, it's quite a sight. From the haunted house she flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night, geeks paranormal's bright, just chatting feels so right. Try to stream, it's quite a sight. From the haunted house she flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night, geeks paranormal's bright, just chatting feels so right. Try to stream, it's quite a sight. In the dark she finds the light, streams of fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight, geeks paranormal shines so bright. In the dark, she finds the light, streams of fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight, geeks paranormal shines so bright. Ghosts and games all night, geeks paranormal's bright, just chatting feels so right. Try to stream, it's quite a sight. It's quite a sight.